Hello and welcome. My name's Marie and this is my yarn journey. If you want to contact me in any way, be it Instagram, Discord, buy me a coffee or a glass of wine on Ko-fi, or a pattern from my wish list to support the channel financially, all those details, are down in the description. I'm not very active on Ravelry for keeping up with my projects, but I do have a very active and very full what's the word for it, queue that I'm always adding things to. So if you want to have a nosy at that, you can do. But like I say, all the links are down in the description box, along with any other information that you might need. And the first thing that I want to talk to you about is what I'm wearing today, which is my Winnie top by Lily Kate France. I knit this in a yarn from Ula and Leah, which was, I think, 90% sheep wool and 10% cashmere. Absolutely adore the colour. The top turned out lovely. I'm not so sure about this yarn for me. Lovely to knit with, blocks out nicely, definitely softens up with blocking. It's not that I can't wear it, and it's not as itchy as some things I've worn, but there's just a slight prickle, especially here where it's touching me on the delicate skin just near my underarm. Yeah, it's a little bit delicate. I can imagine this top's going to last forever though. It does seem like it'll be a sturdy fabric, and the top was a real pleasure to knit and I love the fit of it on me. I must admit though as well, I am struggling to style this quite a bit. I've just got it on today with my black linen sort of trousers, and I think they go okay, but I had knit this intentionally for date night, but I'm not sure for me with this yarn and the styling whether it will be a date night top. I much prefer my Astara tank for that sort of vibe that I was going for, because I'm very pleased with how that looks with my purple satin skirt. But I have worn this quite a few times. The other thing I want to say about this yarn, and I've not noticed it as much with other wools or yarns that I've used, I've noticed that the dog hair sticks to it like glue. So for anyone who's got pets, you know, that can be a bit of an issue. Anyway, I'd highly recommend this pattern. I do think it lends itself to a different type of yarn possibly than this, although I've ended up with a lovely drape. The only thing is my bind off at the bottom here before doing this lace is a little bit tight. But it still looks good, I think, on me, and I really love the colour. So I'll definitely do something in this colour again. I just saw yesterday that Lily Kate has actually brought out a long sleeve version of this, which looks really nice. And like I say, the way that I have talked about this loads in other podcasts. So if you want to head back a few episodes, you'll be able to get a lot more information on this. I don't know if it's quite warm enough for this today. It's really weird weather here where I live in the UK, in Lancashire. It keeps going sunny, but then absolutely throwing it down and going grey while still being sunny, which is very bizarre. I think they've predicted lightning for later today. Anyway, that was a bit of a side tangent. What I did want to say today is thank you ever so much for your kind words and support on my last video. I did say that I was feeling under the weather, and I really was last weekend. I'm feeling loads better now, back to my normal self, thankfully. But I'm saying thank you, and then that does just lead me into knitting sagas, which if you've been here before, you'll know I do have quite a few of these on my channel. But I'm honest with you, I say, you know, what's really happened. If I make mistakes, I make mistakes. I'm only human. But with being under the weather, as it were, yeah, don't cast on something new when you're under the weather, because it really isn't a good idea, and I don't know what possessed me. But anyway, after all what I said last week, I think most of the things that I've been saying in my last few videos I've never got around to doing. So my plans were for last weekend was to pick up the other sleeve on my Daphne's cardigan. That went out the window, didn't have the brain space for doing that. And the other thing was, for some reason, I've got a real block with these 2 pairs of socks. And I thought to myself, you need to really do that. And then potentially to, yeah, pick up and finish the, not pick up. See, back to normal, I'm still getting tongue-tied. So yeah, and I wanted to, either the mermaid socks or the ribbed stripy socks, I wanted to at least get the heel finished on one of those pairs of socks, because I thought it might spur me on. Although I really want to cast on another pair of socks, but what is it with the mind that tricks us and blocks us just getting on with these things? I don't know. Anyway, all that to say, I've had a week of sagas because in my wisdom, I carried on working on my main project with the Stonecrop, which I'll show you shortly. And I'm getting very, very close to splitting the sleeve, so I'll be able to show you that in a moment. But I'm going to show you the new cast on first, because there's been a drama. So I have cast on the Calm Down sweater by Lily Kate France. And I am using this yarn, which is the Ula and Leah, and I've got 8 of these in DK weight, and it is 196 meters. You see, I should have looked at what they said on here for the gauge, because I think this is definitely a heavy DK weight. Now I realise that I should have paid more attention to that. Because unfortunately what's happened is, yeah, it's saying 4.5 for the minute. Lesson to myself, read the label, may give you an indication. So this is clearly a heavy DK, which I wasn't aware of. I do know that these Ula and Leah yarns do seem to lean more heavier, because definitely I've found that with the fingering as well. And they are quite heavily coated in spinning oils, and they balloon beautifully when you, the stunning yarns, they really are. I can't rate them enough, really. And I will get more in the future. I haven't done the Kickstarter program for these yarns this year, so in January I'll be very disappointed that I won't be getting a lovely yarny parcel, but I can imagine that I will do it next year. But I still had quite a bit to work through. So yeah, I decided to cast on the Calm Down cardigan. Now, while my brain was clearly not functioning at full percent, I cast it on. I did my usual, go up 0.5 in the needle size for the pattern. It's a very oversized sweater, the Calm Down, and I decided to do size 3, which I think would be coming out around 47, 48 inches. So that's quite on the bigger size for me anyway, because I normally only like about 3 or 4 inches of positive ease. I don't, sometimes when I wear things that are really oversized, the fit looks off and it looks like I'm just wearing something that's too big. Rather than oversized on purpose, if that makes sense. The only sweater I have, the sweater that I've achieved that well with is the Paul sweater, which I absolutely love and wear a lot. But yeah, and I have also had the thing with Lily Kate's patterns where I think I've been doing a size too big. So I think I've been doing in a lot of them a size 4. This, I think I did a size 3 and that worked out well. So I decided to do the size 3 cast on with the 4.5mm needles. So first saga in the tale was that so I'll show you what I've done so far on my so many attempts so you can see the construction and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So you do these little saddle shoulders. I think that's what they're called. Now you cast these on in your smaller needle size. So I'd cast this on in a 4mm originally, and then I did the 2 pieces and started knitting. So you knit these 2 little sections, then you use your bigger needle size and you pick up stitches along there, cast on here and pick up here. Hope you can see that. And this is the back panel. So I was knitting away with that and we decided to watch a film. And the film was subtitled. Now in Lily Kate's patterns, and this is quite common in a few other patterns that I've done, so the short rows, she'll list them out row by row. Very easy. Tells you the number of stitches to knit in between. Somehow I did them wrong. And then when I got to the bottom of the short rows, the next day I checked it and I thought, I've done something wrong here. I've not ended up right. And I couldn't figure out what I'd done. So I thought, right, I'll rip back. I'll do these short rows again. So I ripped it all back to just where I joined these 2 sections. And I did the short rows again. That was absolutely fine. And then I'd knit a couple of rows because you do straight knitting after your short rows. So I'd done a few rows and I thought, right, I really need to check gauge now because it's already going to be quite oversized at 47-48 inches. I want to see where I am with gauge, make sure that I'm going to be there or thereabouts. The gauge for this pattern is 22 stitches. I checked my gauge at that point and I think I had something like 18 stitches and I was like, oh no. Anyways, I had the 19 stitches and I thought, what should I do here? I thought, right, I'll change needle size. I will go down to a 4mm and I'll just carry on from where I am. It's not too, it doesn't matter too much. Blah blah blah, convincing myself that 4 stitches is not a lot. Over 4 inches, I do not know, because that's 1 stitch per inch that I'm out. That's going to make a massive difference on size. And then I don't know what I was thinking here. Then eventually I realized, I was like, right, this is not going to work. You need to pull this back. So I decided to rip the whole thing out and start again. So now I'm actually on the needle size recommended in the pattern, which never happens for me, and I'm still off gauge. Actually, I don't think I am on the recommended needle size. I think I tried the recommended, it didn't even work. Yeah, recommended needle size is 3.75, I think, for the main body, and 3.25 for the ribbings. And I was still only getting 19 stitches. Now, reading the label to you on this, I'm understanding now why I might have been so off gauge. But I am at the moment currently on 20 stitches. I think my gauge was when I last checked. The pattern requires 22. So what I decided to do when I did cast on again is I've gone down to size 2 in the pattern, which is supposed to come out around a 43 inch, I think it was. But yeah, this saga went on and on for a few days, as you can imagine, and I've done all that knitting. I would have been a lot further along in this because I have been enjoying knitting on it. What I am finding, and I now understand, you know, talking to you really does help sometimes to order the thoughts and figure out what's gone on, which will help with this project or future projects, depending, you know. But now knowing that this, because in my mind, it's like Most DKs are 220 meters, aren't they? So I didn't think that 196 was that much of a difference. Well, it clearly is, and the knitting is showing. The fabric on this, even though I've got a 20 stitch gauge, and I'm knitting on a 3.5 millimeter, so you know, it's quite a dense fabric at the moment. It's going to be lovely and warm. So have you had any knitting sagas like this lately? I really shouldn't have been casting on something new, but my idea with this project, if you remember me talking about it last week, was, oh, I'm going to cast on this because I've got nothing that's simple, easy knitting in the round. Now, had I not had all these issues, I probably would have been at the point where I was knitting beautifully in the round now, but alas, that was not to be. I must admit though, it's knitting up very well and it's looking nice, but because it is quite a dense fabric as well, at the moment, and that might change when I'm knitting in the round, it has been, well, it was at certain points a little bit tough on my hands. I mean, 3.5 isn't too drastic with a DK weight yarn, is it? But as it's a heavier DK, yeah. I'm presuming though, with it being cashmere, it's not a totally dense fabric. It's just a little bit stiffer than I'm used to working with because I've been doing a lot of quite loose gauge summer tops. So I think once it's knit up, it's going to be lovely, lovely and warm, this sweater. Just hope now, from now on in, it's more plain sailing. And anyway, all that to say, it's absolutely nothing to do with Lily Kate's pattern. The pattern is fantastic, great to follow, love her writing style. And yeah, it's just me casting something on new when I shouldn't have, and not properly checking my gauge. Bear in mind that I'd already done a swatch, and if anyone can fathom this out, I don't know how I've done this, but when I took my gauge on my swatch, I'm sure I had 19 or 20 stitches. Can't remember now. I did write it down. Let me just see if I've actually wrote it on my knitting journal, because I'm very much enjoying filling out my knitting journal. It is helping me to keep better notes, which identified as soon as I was back to feeling myself and I looked for knitting notes, I thought, what? I should have gone down a needle size, not up a needle size. So yeah, very, very silly. Yeah, so I did my swatch on a 4mm, but I got 20 stitches and the pattern is asking for 22. Now, why I thought that I should then go up to a 4.5 when I cast on, I have no idea. Yeah. So, all knitters, even, what would I call myself? Confident beginner? Intermediate? I don't know. Anyway, even when you've been knitting for quite some time, and now I've been knitting consistently for about 4 years, knitting on and off throughout my whole life, even I can still make mistakes and I'm still learning. That's part of the fun of knitting, isn't it? But what I will say is that I have obviously learned, because I didn't just carry on. I ripped it back, and even though I'd done more than this the first time, I just thought, nope, it's not going to be right. I'm going to rip it back. And I think that's what I'm doing a lot more now, is I'm not just ploughing forward and thinking, oh, it'll be all right. I'm noticing things quicker. I'm pulling back, I'm correcting, and I'm trying to make my knitting end result better by doing these things. And I think when you get confident in doing that, noticing errors, pulling back, starting again, it really does improve your knitting. Anyways, I think I've talked about that for quite long enough. Yeah, it's been a bit of a week for the knitting saga. So yeah, hope you found that all a bit amusing. and just shows us that we're all human, doesn't it? And the next one that I want to show you is the Stonecrop pullover, which actually, to be fair, I've got all these project bags and I've still not got this in a project bag. Can you believe it? So, oh, and the yarn's just rolled across the floor. I do need to sort that out after, because it is getting a bit silly just having it hanging about. So this is my, as I like to lovingly call it, the coffee shop bag from My Creative Garage, which is Vanessa, who is an Australian dyer. And this is my Stonecrop pullover, which I am having a lot of fun knitting. It's 64 row repeats, fully charted, and I've had a few issues with gauge again on this one. No surprises there. I didn't do a swatch, so I was very, very naughty. I've made 2 modifications on this if you didn't see last week's video. So I have in the top section here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but it has I think she calls it a honeycomb cable, which is this sort of shape, like a circle. And then it's supposed to have a bobble in the centre. Now, I decided not to do that. And on the one that I'd seen that inspired me to knit this sweater, she also hadn't done the bobbles. And the other modification that I've made, and now that I've tried it on, I'm really glad I have, I did 4 extra short rows. I'm finding that in quite a few patterns that I've knit, the neckline is coming up a little bit high for me, and I really would prefer it to lay flat here. So this pattern, it seemed quite simple for me to be able to add in 4 extra short rows. So that's what I did, and I'm pleased about that. Like I say, I've tried it on. I do struggle until I've joined under the arms, understand whether the fit is right or not, but I was able to check the neckline, because if you remember from last week, I was a little bit worried because of my gauge issues and me changing needle size several times. It ended up where the needle that I'm working on currently was the same as the ribbing, and I was worried that it was going to pop forwards and maybe be looser than the fabrics, or too loose. But when I've actually tried it on, it sits beautifully and it is lovely and open, which I much prefer. The only thing now that I'm wondering about is whether it will stretch out with blocking, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And also, I got some really helpful tips for, you know, maybe doing this again. And I think Ammo from PawfectPastimes, I can never remember her channel name, sorry. And she had said I could pick up stitches along there and then cut it off, which was the easiest way to do it on when I'm pulling it back in reverse, as it were. So yeah, I've got that option, which I feel pretty confident to do that. I've done it a few times where I've picked up stitches. I did that on this when I was ripping this back. I picked up a load of stitches there and pulled it back to the top shoulder pieces. So I do feel that I would be able to do that, but obviously I'm going to have to see once I've finished it, blocked it, worn it, that sort of thing. But I'll hold it up a bit better to the camera now and see, so you can see the patterns better. Really pleased with how it's turning out. I don't think with these 3 sections, and I don't know whether I should have changed my colour placement on these, because I'm using minis from Craft House Magic for they're not stripes, are they, but for the colour work sections. And I'm not sure whether I should have put them in a different order, because these 3 here are different colours, but they don't look drastically different when knitting this way. And then I've got, obviously, you can see that that's clearly very different from the purple at the bottom. Maybe it would have been better to mix them in. Maybe I should change the order when I do the next round. So it's a 64 row repeat. I don't know, I'd have to measure it, I suppose, and then get an idea, because one option would be I can do the next set of 64 rows with the same sequence, or I can change it. I'm not really sure. What do you think? Do you think it would look good if I swap them or not? I think it is, because this purple one here, it is in a smaller section, and I would have liked it to have been in one of those. But what does look good is, I think, because they look so similar, it's quite cohesive. Hard to show on camera, sorry, while I'm talking about it. But and the main yarn, if I didn't mention, is Kinross 4-ply in the colourway Thistle. Now, I'm not sure if they always do the colourway Thistle. I ended up with 2 different dye lots because I had to get them from 2 different places to have enough to do this sweater. Now, I really wish I had this finished right now, because it's the perfect weather where I am right now, where a long-sleeved fingering weight garment would be the perfect sort of weight. I probably wouldn't need a jacket necessarily. Well, not midday anyway. But yeah, have any of you done this and done this pattern? I think it's been out for quite some time, but I'm really enjoying it. And it's, if anyone's not done colour work, this is not too difficult. I maybe wouldn't say do it as your first one, but I'm finding the chart relatively easy to follow. I have followed quite a few charts now, so yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And then one surprise one to show you, which I don't know if you'll know if what's in this bag, which is my Willow Bay bag. So what do we think this is, and what do you think I was doing last night? And I've even shocked myself. Ta-da! My mitten has got a thumb, and I did it on DPNs. Can you imagine? Now, I think I was going to say these mittens, but there's clearly only one of them. So, you know, what do we think? I think this has turned out fantastic, and I can't wait to block it. Little bit iffy on my pickup. Not iffy on my pickup, but I wasn't sure if I picked up the right colours along the bottom there. Don't know if you can see. But otherwise, I think the overall mitten looks absolutely fabulous. The fit is great on me. Really happy. One thing, though, that I am not happy about, and I'm wondering if I can show you, is the inside there. Not the inside, the end of the thumb there. So it's pretty basic the way you do it. It's the same as most things that are left with leave it with 8 stitches at the end, and you just put your thread through and pull it down and tighten it. But I think I might have to tweak it a little bit and try and fix it, I think. So I hope you can see there. But you know what inspired me to do this, and I've got to say this because I probably wouldn't have picked it up otherwise. And do you know what? After all my procrastination, and how long has this been on the needles, it was very easy to do that thumb. And once I got going, the DPNs weren't too hard. I do find DPNs do scare me off. But I was watching Florence, not yesterday, day before, I think. Was it yesterday? Anyways, I was watching Florence, and she was talking about all these Latvian mittens that she was making, which are absolutely stunning. Yeah, and it just inspired me to do this, because I know that when I was knitting this, a DK as well, so they knit up quite quickly. It was really enjoyable. And following the chart's really not that difficult for these. But now the challenge is, can I remember? Did I write notes? Do I know what I did for the first one? Do I know what size I did it on? I think I just did it on the needles recommending the pattern. So, but I really need to get this second one cast on very, very soon. Oh, and I've not mentioned the yarn. I mean, it's been that long since I've mentioned those. This is a Bird Street yarn. Really, really soft, lovely yarn. It's a 75/25 sock yarn. With this, it was a special that they were doing. It was a mitten mix, and you got 2 50-gram balls of DK, and they were wrapped together in a way to look like one skein. So it was very, very pretty, and that's something that would make a lovely gift for a knitter. Okay, and then I just wanted to talk about books for a second, because I know that some of you who are my regular watchers are avid book readers, and I have been reading the Filthy Rich Vampires series, and this is by Geneva Lee, and this is the 4th book in the series. As you can see, I'm quite a way through. And yeah, really, really good. Highly recommend this series for anyone who likes romantasy. And yeah, and also I wanted to mention that I have been listening, and for anyone who listens to books on Audible, which I do, actually listening to a really good story at the moment. So I don't really get to listen to many audible books during the summer while the kids are off and everybody's about. But generally, I listen to audiobooks if I'm in the car by myself, going back from the school runs, and also while I'm doing jobs around the house. I am listening to one at the moment that's recommended by one of my nail clients, and it is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I'm led to believe that it does get pretty steamy, but so far I'm gripped. I'm really, really enjoying it, and it's actually being read by 2 narrators rather than just one, which really makes for an interesting dynamic listen. So yeah, and I think that's everything that I wanted to tell you about, really. I also wanted to just ask you to put in the comments what future videos you would like to see from me, because you're the one watching, so I'd really like your input, help, feedback, whatever it is. I have done a couple of vloggy style videos recently. If you let me know what you thought of those, or ways you think I could improve. They don't seem to do as well as the regular podcast, but I know I do now have quite a few viewers for the podcast. I just want to keep it interesting for you. I don't want you to be bored with coming back and just seeing me sitting on my sofa updating you on all my knits. I have popped up a few stitch videos, so for anyone who's learning, I did do this week cast on knit and pearls. I know I've done the knitting series, but I wanted to do just some little short videos for anyone who's learning to knit. If you know of anyone that's learning to knit, or wants to learn to knit, you can always point them in the direction of those videos. And I think that's everything for this week. So I hope you've enjoyed the little updates. I hope my knitting sagas made you laugh. And I'd love to hear what you're knitting on at the moment, because it really does give me inspiration for what to do next. And I may have some new yarn on the way to me very, very soon. Do you know what it'll be? Put it in the comments if you can guess what yarn will be bringing its way to me very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a lovely week. Bye.